So let's get into the actual Final Four games. We'll take them in the order that they're going to be played Saturday, 6:09 p.m. Eastern, Kansas, Villanova, TBS, KU, 4.5-point favorite, totals 133. Dead leg, I believe. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe on CBS Sports HQ earlier this week, you said you were picking Kansas, but that you might change your mind as the week progresses. The week has progressed. Have you changed your mind?
I have not yet, but I maintain the right until Friday to change my mind. Right here, right now, I'm still going to go with Kansas. Ochai Agbaji, I think, is going to show up in this game and play pretty damn well. I'm actually curious to see how Remy Martin plays in this one. And David McCormick, Eric Dixon, will the bigs factor in at all? I don't really know. I love the fact that this is a wonderful matchup from a coaching perspective. Not that just Bill Self and Jay Wright are incredible coaches, but from a tactician standpoint, they're also very, very good. And they also have certainly different styles. So to this point, Kansas has, we talked about this on the previous podcast, but it's gotten a few breaks while Villanova's, to a certain extent had to, do this the hard way to a certain extent. And now it doesn't have Justin Moore. But as I also said on HQ, and I think I did say it on the podcast, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I 100% believe it. I think that Villanova is as best equipped to overcome a significant injury as any team, if not more than any other team. I think if you think that Villanova doesn't have a chance to win this game because Justin Moore's not playing, you're not giving that program and Jay Wright and those players enough credit. It's not unthinkable, to be honest. And if you wanted to make a case that Villanova has a better chance to beat Kansas than Carolina does to beat Duke, I'm here to listen to your case. I'm not saying that's absolutely the scenario, but I'm here to listen to your case if you think that it is actually, what's on the table, that Villanova can beat Kansas much more easily or more likely than UNC coming back and knocking off Duke there. So I will take Kansas to win in this one as of now. As we sit here, what's our number? 4.5. What's this number?
4.5.
It is. I would take Villanova to cover, my man. I think it's just close enough. These teams did meet on this stage 4 years ago. Do you remember?
Not specifically, but I'm aware that happened.
So the reason why I particularly remember this is this was the second game of the okay.
What?
No, just the way you said it. So Kansas and Oklahoma was the second game of that national semifinal. Remember, Michigan beat Loyola in the first game, and I think I went to like the Loyola locker room and got stuff for a column. I can't remember, but anyway, I was in there late, and so I actually, by the time I was walking back out to my seat, I actually left and was walking pretty much parallel to Bill Self as he was getting ready to go out and play against Villanova. And he had the head coach always goes out last, so he walked out by himself solo, and he was like, "Hey Matt," I was like, "Hey Bill, you ready for this?" He's like, "Oh hell yeah!" And do you remember what happened after that? Villanova absolutely roasted them.
By the way, that Villanova team was awesome.
Incredible, man.
Like one of the, they had some injury. No, we're not going to go down this path. But they had a few injuries, and then they lost a few games in the Big East. And I think that sort of like made us think, yeah, they're a really good team, but like they're not all modern history, all-time great. That team is all-time great modern history.
Unquestionably. By the way, if you have not hit the like button, please do so. I assume we're giving out more Paramount Plus gift cards. I don't know.
I don't know either. Shouts to Commander King. He's one
Commander
of my
King.
favorites.
He's staying on.
Commander King. Me and Commander King, we've got an Instagram direct message relationship.
Okay, well,
that's my guy. And I appreciate him telling everybody to smash.
As far as I'm concerned, Nada can give the Paramount Plus card to him. Then give
it to Commander.
Give it to however. Anyway, so
smash the like button, like Commander King says. Do it like Brandon Davies would.
But one of my primary members of this game was was like Bill Self having a confidence about walking out, and then Villanova just saying, "See ya, good night. It ain't gonna be your night." Villanova was amazing. They trounced KU in that semifinal on the way to winning, obviously, third national championship and second under Jay Wright. So intriguing that just 4 years later, obviously different rosters, same coaches, we get another semifinal rematch. This one being the undercard, of course. There. What are your thoughts on the matchup, GP, and what do you think will play out on Saturday?
Both teams enter on 9-game winning streaks. So these teams have been playing well. I just think the problem, to the extent, maybe it won't be a problem, but I'm anticipating it being a problem. Keep in mind, this is the same logic I used on Houston, and it never really worked out for me until they got all the way to the Elite Eight. But they just lost Justin Moore. He's their second leading scorer. He's their best perimeter defender, and Kansas can attack you from the perimeter 3 different spots, right? Remy Martin is now a factor. Ochai Agbaji, obviously. Christian Brown, he could bounce it too, get out in transition and dunk on you. Villanova just lost his best perimeter defender, and they got to deal with that. I think that's a problem. I mentioned Remy Martin. He's now averaging 16.8 points per game in the NCAA tournament. It's like Kansas just added an all-conference player for its tournament run. Like if this were the NBA, and it's like, ooh, this team was good enough to, be a number 1 seed. And then they just traded for an all-star. That's what Kansas has effectively done, because Remy Martin was a non-factor most of the season. Now he's very much a factor. I'm assuming Villanova is going to go Colin Gillespie, Caleb Daniels, Brandon Slater, Eric Dixon, Jermaine Samuels.
Yeah.
Right. And so, they barely play anybody anyway. So now you're going to get Chris Arcidiacono coming off the bench, Brian Antoine coming off the bench, and that's probably it. Jay's probably just going to play 7 guys. He only played 7 against Houston, and he lost 1 of them. So, Antoine didn't play at all in the Elite Eight game. They're going to, he's a former 5-star prospect. Brian Hamilton had a nice column on him earlier today at The Athletic. He's a former 5-star prospect whose career has not gone the way 5-star prospect careers are supposed to go. But perhaps this will be his shot, because he's going to have, whether he's ready or not, he's going to have to get in this game at some point, because Villanova was already, playing a limited, a short rotation. And now one of those guys, one of the key guys is no longer a part of it. Villanova, they don't have anybody in the front court taller than 6'8". McCormick 6'10". Jalen Wilson 6'8". Kansas is bigger and deeper. Now that sounds dirty, but it's true. Kansas is bigger and deeper, and I'm assuming that's going to be a problem for Villanova. But I would say this: I'm picking Kansas to win and cover, but I'm not betting it. Count Villanova out at your own risk. It's still a proud program with an all-time great coach, a 2-time Big East Player of the Year running things. They can still get this done.
They can. A couple things on this game before we move on to the headliner. One, I understand that Duke and Carolina is and should and will be getting much more attention than this game. I love this matchup. I actually really, really like this game. This is the fact that Villanova, Kansas is the appetizer is incredible and speaks to the strength and appeal of this Final Four overall, because Villanova also, of the 4 schools here, it's the one that's really doesn't, I understand why Duke has a hateable quality and has for so long. I understand why Carolina does just as much. And there are people outside of even the Duke fan base who will say that, because Carolina, yes, it has a case as the greatest program in the history of the sport, right there with Kentucky, as far as I'm concerned. And that's what the research bore out that I mentioned about 20 minutes ago. But there are plenty of people that don't like Carolina because, the wine and cheese factor and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, it's hoops royalty. And so it gets backlash on that. And then Kansas, similarly, for a number of different reasons with Kansas, one of them being Kansas has long been so damn good that when you are that good in your conference for just year and decade, it will, really give rise to people that get sick of you. I get all that. And then, frankly, the Kansas connection to the FBI scandal, where the weird backdrop to all this is that once this season's over, I fully anticipate Kansas to get absolutely slammed by the NCAA.
By the way,
is coming.
Kansas might win the national championship and they'd be banned from the 2022 NCAA
yes.
tournament. That's very much on the table. In fact, Some people would say it's more likely than not.
So that, yes, that, and people think that Bill Self has a Teflon. I'm just telling you that reputation, I think, will be going by the wayside, because I do anticipate like they'll fight it, but I think that Bill Self is staring down a significant suspension whenever that punishment does come down. So for all those reasons, Kansas obviously has its own enemies there. Villanova, like what? What is there not to like about Villanova? Can anyone they were in a conference, then they had to break off with the Catholic 7 to reform and keep the Big East name. They won as an underdog. They're still the lowest seeded program ever to win a national championship. They're the only program that can really claim to have quasi-Cinderella status in a power conference while winning a national championship, which is what they did, obviously, in '85 when they beat Georgetown there. Jay Wright's as approachable and likable of a coach in a power conference that the sport has, period. So, for the Villanova sect, I think that's the one that the true people that are going to watch this game that don't have a vested interest in they want to see Coach K go out on top, or they'd love to see Carolina be able to do this in Hubert Davis's first season, or you're a fan of any of these programs, or Kansas. I feel like Villanova is actually weirdly the people's favorite in this one, because again, there also is the feeling that it's is it a blue blood? Is it a not? And maybe they get winning one more, whatever. But there is that factor to it. So I love this matchup. I think it has a great chance of being a really good, really close game, and not really knowing who's going to wind up stepping up in that moment. And the other aspect of this game, and I'll just be quick on this, and we'll have another podcast before the game's tip. And maybe I go deeper on it on that one. I just wonder if the Remy Martin experience shows up in a good way or a not so good way, Parrish. He's been quite good over the course of 4 games. And the man certainly has had his amazing moments, tantalizing moments, frustrating moments over his career, just in terms of what he's done at Arizona State and at Kansas. How he's used, deployed, and how many shots he gets up, for good or for bad, I also think is the true X factor in this matchup.
So we're both taking Kansas to win the game. I'm taking Kansas to cover. You're taking Villanova plus the points. Put that in the Final Four and 1.